Tim Miller says, just spoke with Lindsey Graham in the spin room. He said the debate team should be fired and Trump was unprepared. Disaster.
Yeah, it was like Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard. I mean,
Laura Loomer.
Laura Loomer was there?
Yeah.
I saw he brought her. I didn't know if she was part of the team.
I don't know if she was part of the team or not, but
yeah.
All right. People want me to hear what Waltz had to say. Let's tune in to see what he has to say.
Certainly, and you couldn't get any different than this. The reinstitution of Roe versus Wade, what was the law of the land for 52 years. You saw this in there, and him pushing back to the states, she's exactly right. It's people like Amanda in Texas, which everybody saw on the stage in Chicago, nearly bleeding out, having sepsis twice because she can't get the care. She's been absolutely clear on this. Everything Donald Trump said, that is untrue. The clarity of this is Roe. When you have Roe, you have the protections in place where women make their own decisions with their health care providers, not Donald Trump.
Okay, thanks so very much for joining us, Governor Waltz. John?
And we have the other side of the ticket. We have Senator J.D. Vance.
Oh, we got to see this one.
Joining us now. Senator Vance, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
So I want to get to one part in the debate where you came up. Donald Trump was asked if he would veto a national abortion ban.
So ruthless
he didn't answer the question, suggested
he deserves it.
I guess that he wouldn't. And then it was pointed out that you, in fact, said not that long ago that he would veto a national abortion ban. Can you explain the mix-up here?
Well, I think the president's been very clear that he doesn't want a national abortion ban. I think in some ways he finds the question a little bit ridiculous because why are we asking him about legislation that's never going to actually happen and why he would veto it or not veto it when he says very explicitly that he doesn't support a national abortion ban and he wants these policies to be made by the states. But I think there's a deeper and more important issue here in this debate, which is that you had Kamala Harris effectively echoing platitude after platitude after platitude. The American people can't pay their grocery bills on platitudes. They can't put their kids in a house on platitudes. And Kamala Harris had a lot to say, but very little actual substance behind it for how she's going to lower grocery prices, secure the border, and make housing more affordable in this country. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She can't run on her record, and she apparently can't run on much of her plans either because it's just a lot of slogans and not a whole lot of substance.
But Senator Vance, why won't he just say that he would veto the national abortion ban? And by the way, had you spoken to him about it before you were put in a position to answer that question?
No, I hadn't spoken to him about it because, again, Donald Trump thinks the question is absurd because he doesn't support a national abortion ban, and he's been explicit about it. And, John, I think that it's so preposterous for the media to focus so much on an issue where Donald Trump has been crystal clear and not on the fact that people can't afford groceries and housing because of Kamala Harris's policies. This election is actually quite simple, and Kamala Harris and apparently the media would like to distract Americans on issues, by the way, that Donald Trump's been crystal clear about.
Like
but
Haitians
they're not
eating
talking
cats
nearly
in
enough.
Springfield, Ohio.
Didn't talk nearly enough about the fact that Americans are struggling because they can't afford groceries, they can't afford housing.
Didn't, you idiot.
Kids are dying
Trump didn't do that, you
Kamala
dumbass, you loser,
take over the southern
you
border.
goddamn
this
nerd.
Is a disgrace what's going on in our country, John, and we could do so much better if we just had better leadership. We've got the best workers, the most beautiful country, the best natural resources, but Kamala Harris's leadership is squandering the great benefits of this country. It's why we've got to get back to Donald Trump's leadership.
Senator, by the way, I asked because he hadn't been crystal clear and he said something different than what you said. That's why I was seeking clarification. But let me ask you about this just very quickly. I heard Donald Trump before this debate describe Kamala Harris as, I'll just read a few of them, a low IQ individual, somebody who doesn't have the mental capacity to be president, really dumb, unable to put two sentences together. Is that what you saw on the stage tonight?
John, what I saw was a lot of slogans. I think the American people are smart, and Kamala Harris talks to them like they're children. She repeats these ridiculous platitudes where if you actually think about what she said, you realize that it doesn't make any sense. She talks a lot about her plans, but then her plans, when you analyze the substance, don't make any sense. And more importantly, John, the American people don't get fed on plans. She has been the vice president for 3.5 years. What she can't do, refuses chooses to do and has no ability to do is to say, I accomplished lower prices because she didn't, or I accomplished lower housing prices because she didn't, or I secured the southern border because she didn't do that. She has failed as vice president, and the fundamental question is, do we want to give her a promotion? I think the answer has to be no, John.
All right, Senator Vance, thank you for joining us. Mary.
One thing both sides can agree on, this was a consequential night in this race. More reaction when we come back. Stay with us.
I said if the goal for tonight was to simply demonstrate for the Harris campaign, was to simply demonstrate competency and remind people how narcissistic and incompetent Trump is. She put up LeBron numbers, but the goal tonight was to also get voters enthusiastic about voting for Harris. On that front, progressive policies would help. I said 8.5 out of 10. That's my assessment of Kamala Harris. As far as Trump's performance, it's like minus 10 out of 10.
It wasn't as bad as Biden, but it was like in the same area code. It was like in that ballpark.
It was like, yeah, I mean, Biden is like historic. That's like once in a lifetime failure, right? I mean, he had to drop out. That's how bad it was. But I cannot, he ate every bait. He was extremely online. He was disheveled. He literally leaned into like all of the worst instincts, like all of the worst things that people point to him about. And he even leaned into like all the issues that he should be avoiding, that cost him, that cost him the midterms, even like cost the Republican Party the midterms, like losers. Bro, he said at one point, nobody on the other side even died on January 6th. The other side was your Congress. Okay?
Yeah, and the cops.
And Mike Pence and cops, Capitol Police. What the are you saying? It's like the only Ashley Babbitt died. Nobody on the other side even died. It's like that's crazy, man. That's an insane thing to say. I often talk about how silly it is, like how much hyper focus liberals put on January 6th. And that's, I think, part of the reason why it's reflected well in the polling. Like Trump is a threat to democracy. Why? Because that's the key thing that Democrats can't shut the up about, right? So obviously it's going to be reflected in the polls to a certain degree. I wish they would have that same energy for immigration in terms of counter messaging, but they don't because they're stupid. Anyway, but ultimately Trump just keeps bringing back. It would be like if Kamala Harris did the Joe Biden thing, regularly bringing up how, I don't know, undocumented migrants are doing rapes or something. You know what I mean? It's akin to that.
Shit. Yeah. The healthcare stuff I was going to say before we cut to the Walls and Vance stuff, it's always kind of frustrating me because during the, and the moderators did a better point of bringing this up than honestly Kamala did. During the Trump era, during his presidency, he reached his lowest points in approval over his tax bills and over Obamacare. Those were really, really unpopular. Obamacare is broadly a consensus kind of bill. Yeah. Obama himself is very popular. I mean, I get kind of the saying, oh, we're going to expand and protect the Affordable Care Act, but it's the exact opposite of how they push on immigration, where they're totally defensive and reactive about it. You could make healthcare into a big issue this election. That would be really helpful for you. You could push it. You could talk about how Trump has concepts of a plan or whatever, and how you want to do a public option. You could force this and make the issue better on your terms. Don't make it just the thing that's about the immigration and the economy. Make this be assertive. Change it. To be about what you want it to be about, but they just have a fundamentally reactive and reactionary perspective that doesn't work. It's just very passive.
Yeah, I genuinely cannot comprehend how he failed to be normal on immigration, a strong suit, and didn't even talk about didn't even talk about the economy. He rarely talked about the economy in that the whole point of Trump was to be moderate, right? Was to seemingly look normal, more normal than you've ever seen him before. That's what his advisors keep telling him. And they're don't attack Kamala Harris on race and stuff. Just be a little bit more normal. You know what I mean? Be a little bit more normal. Maybe you can pick up some voters on the sidelines. You know what I mean? A lot of people are angry about the economy. You're beating Biden on the economy. You're beating Kamala Harris on the economy. And it's crazy that he just could not take a deep breath and just be a goddamn adult. And he just he insisted on eating every bait possible. Incredible.
Yeah, it's the worst time for him because the momentum was kind of shifting in his favor. You had the discussion and the polling moving more being about how Kamala doesn't have a plan, how like she doesn't have like any real clear policies, how she didn't inspire confidence at the DNC, and there were some inklings of him getting to that point where he, like, I mean, JD Vance tried to do it where she just said that she only has platitudes, which I think is a real problem for her, and she did that a little bit during the debate where she really didn't have too many like specific points, but he totally made it about himself, just talking about like, I don't even know who Abdul is. I don't even know who that is.
I know who it is. That's the funny story. He's the Taliban chief, right? Trump literally actually
guy who's the head of the Taliban.
No, he evac'd him out of a Pakistani prison and brought him to the United States of America, which is why it's really funny when he just keeps saying like, oh, I sent him a photo of his house. It's like, no, dog, you took him out of jail. Like, he was in prison. Okay. He was in prison. You got him released from prison and you brought him to Camp David. You did not send him a picture of his house unless you showed the photo of the Pakistani prison he was in. So that's like another thing. That's another lie that he loves repeating for some reason.
Yeah. This is an insane reference, but that moment reminded me of that YouTube video where he plays like Call of Duty with Walt Jr. Like, people who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. But like when he said like, I got your house, like I'm like, it sounded like he doxed him.
Apparently Taylor Swift just endorsed Kamala Harris on Instagram.
Oh my God.
It's Jover. It's Jover. Is Joe?
She's feeling a news cycle from him.
Is it Jover? Oh, is it happening? Finally? No, she didn't. You guys are such
false. She did. She did. On her Instagram.
Oh, she did. She said register to vote. Like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now is a great time to do your research on issues at hand. It stands to these.
That lady, it's over.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's the picture of her with a cat.
Oh my God.
He's gonna beat Don Jr. with a shoe.
Bro, all it took was for her to hug a Trump supporter and then have like the entire Swifties on Twitter rip her ass and be like, you only cared about politics when your career was failing. She was like, no, I'm sorry. Actually, I love politics. It's my favorite thing to do.
I like that she kind of implies here that she was like undecided until she watched the debate.
Yeah. Recently, I was made that AI of me falsely endorsing Donald Trump's presidential run was posted to the site. Oh, recently you were made. Sure. Okay. It really conjured up my fears around AI and the danger of spreading misinformation. It brought me to the conclusion I need to be very transparent about my actual plans for this election as a voter. The simplest way to combat misinformation is the truth. I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election. I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she fights for the rights and causes I believe needed to champion them. I think she's a steady-handed, gifted leader, and I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if we're led by calm and not chaos. Damn, she's even doing the PR moves. Like she did watch that debate, or at least her PR people watched that debate. Let me tell you, okay?
Yeah, they said we're backing. This is like the best indicator for like Kamala like so far, because they are not going to back her ass until like unless she's like a clear shot to win. Like, she was not endorsing Biden until Biden was leading by like 10 in the polls.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like the Waffle House index, you know what I mean? for predicting elections. Like, people will look at like Polymarket or whatever, or like betting odds, but like, this is the real careful and considered calculated decision maker here, okay?
Yeah. Like a Bloomberg journal about
Ooh, she likes Tim Walz. She doubled down on Tim Walz. I was so hard and impressed by her selection of running mate at Tim Walz, who has been standing up for LGBTQ plus rights, IVF, and a woman's right to her own body for decades. I've done my research and I've made my choice. Oh my God.
Drop the policy page. She had to drop the policy page.
That's what it was. She's a real policy head. She's a real policy head. She was like, yo, honestly, yeah, once I read the policy page, it was over. You know, this was it for me. Yeah. When I heard Kamala Harris is going to combat Iran, no matter what it takes, I was like, that's my vote.
Yeah. She said, I'm not voting for her unless I know the nukes are on the way to Beijing like at 11 a.m.
Oh, Jesus. Taylor Swift, childless cat lady. JD Vance Oh, I can
He
talk about
listened to
JD
Don
baseball.
Jr. for the first time in his life, a lifetime of his own abuse that he unheeded himself. He should have listened to himself. He's gonna beat Don Jr. with a shoe.
Dude, honestly, Donald Trump's biggest mistake was ever listening to Don Jr. That's when I knew this is cooked. Okay, perma fried.
Yeah,
like
the
Don
worst
Jr. Don Jr. You don't
approval.
even like him. Why would you ever listen to his opinion on who that sweaty cokehead loser thinks is like
if he had
cool?
Doug, if he had Doug, he'd still be contending in Minnesota. If he had Doug, he would be up in like North Carolina now for sure.
Dude, I'm a burgamaniac. Okay, I'm a burgamaniac. I've been saying it. I was gonna vote. There were 2 VP picks that would have changed my decision. If Burgum was the VP, I would have voted in. I would have voted for Donald Trump. And if Jesse Ventura was RFK Jr.'s vice president, I would have voted for RFK Jr. They both up. They could have gotten my
Remember
vote.
the Jesse Ventura Green candidate like rumors in 2020?
Yeah,
I
but
wanted that so badly.
Yeah, but he gets libbed up. Like he
endorsed a duopoly. He endorsed the Democrats.
He really did. Yeah, he really did. He was like, I'm really excited for a woman to vote for a woman in the White House. I was like, damn, Jesse, what the
It wasn't even like, oh, I'm like, oh, these guys are like the lesser of two evils. He went like full like DNC, like talking points. He was talking like a wine on.
Yeah, a lot of our old heads have fallen.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders being like, yeah, I don't really agree with Cheney a lot, but even he hates Donald Trump, and that's good. I was like, come on, bro, what the are you talking about?
Yeah, that
Bernie,
one guy who doesn't fuck around about being 82 years old.
I was like, Bernie, they're not gonna do card checks. Shut the fuck up. You don't have to destroy. They are not going to make you a junior partner in the coalition.
Yeah.
Okay, you're 800 years old. Why are you
They
doing
never
this?
passing a public option, man. It's not.
They put him in the cuck chair, dude. They just keep whipping him for the crimes of contesting Hillary Clinton in 2016 forever.
Yeah, his late stage career. He's like trying to work his way up to like better Senate committees. Like he's a like decrepit Dixiecrat from 1950. He's trying to do the Richard Russell strat.
He's a real team player.
Yeah,
surely.
If he stays in Congress until he's 90 years old, they'll let him like chair the Appropriations Committee, like Robert Byrd.
No. They're gonna let him take Vermont. They're gonna let him take the old people in Vermont back to Canada so they can like purchase pharmaceuticals there.
Yeah, they're gonna let him
please anything.
They're gonna let him build an FBI crime examination facility in Birmingham, and that'll be like the culmination of his life's work.
It feels bad. It feels bad watching him like that. But
yeah. I don't know. He was a big Russia head like during the Trump era. Maybe he just is lived up.
You were joking about voting for Trump, right? Oh my God, chatters. Yes. Shut up. Oh my Lord.
No, we would have actually voted for Trump if we picked North Dakota Governor Doug. That's completely sincere. That was going to be the heel turn.
I forget that there's like 160,000 people in here. So like they have no fucking, some of these people are just like tuning in for once and they're like, what the this guy saying?
I'm a single issue voter about him picking Glenn Youngkin. This is like completely like what I believe.
Yes. I'm undoing every opinion that I've ever had. Because Doug Burgum is on the ticket.
Guy who looked like Brezhnev.
Yeah. But hotter.
Yeah.
His eyebrows are powerful.
Part. Yeah. Trump's odds on betting markets have started tanking. He's down to 46 cents unpredicted. He's lost to degenerates.
Yeah. The copium tomorrow is going to be so delectable. I can already sense it from here. First of all, everyone's going to complain about the moderators fact checking.
So funny.
Here is a really good idea. If you don't want to get fact checked, don't say Haitian migrants are eating cats on the most prominent national stage you've been on. Are you
when you're like 78 years old?
And then he started debating the moderators. He's like, actually I saw it on television. Real old man hours over there. It was incredible.
Like even getting recommended Megyn Kelly's tweets and she's so pissed off. She's so mad at the moderators. Ben Shapiro. Oh yeah, Ben Shapiro.
This debate won't matter.
This is what the Biden people said. This is exactly what they said.
Yeah, that's how you know this shit popped off. Yeah. This debate won't matter. It was just eliminated as an inflection point. The American people still know nothing about Kamala Harris's positions. Donald Trump is still Donald Trump, and the legacy media are still a giant flaming dog turd.
Don't go after them too hard, Ben.
Wow. He busted out the big words, the big boy words. His wife's not gonna let him sleep in the same bed tonight. Oh my God. Oh, it's gonna be delectable. It's gonna be delightful.
I'm gonna make the Trump replacement tier list.
Yeah, this is Trump never. Oh, the conservatives are in the chat. Trump never mentioned Haitian people. He never said Haitians. Yeah, dude, you're right. We haven't been paying attention to the same media cycle that the Republicans have been pumping this entire
and who
time.
does he think we're eating the cats?
Yeah, no, random. He actually was talking about, like, you know, random people in Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah. We just gotta get rid of that one city. There's something in the water.
This is so funny. This level of cope from Trump heads is hilarious. He said Venezuelans though. Yeah, he said Venezuelans Aurora overtaking apartment complexes. He won the jank Uyghur vote with that one. A real Aurora head, my uncle. Anyway, yeah, this is what happens when you're extremely online. I keep fucking trying to repeat this to people, like, do not look at Twitter and assume that that's how normal people are. You know, can you explain this story to a bus driver? If the answer is no, you know, if it fails the bus driver test, like, you probably shouldn't be running a national campaign on it. Oh my God.
The likes too hard.
Yeah. Megyn Kelly's mad. Oh, great. Taylor Swift's post. Yeah, of course Taylor Swift posted about who she's voting for president. Of course, it got 1 million likes in 13 minutes, dude. What are we talking about?
Funny that she repeatedly mentioned walls.
Yeah, no, I do like that. Yeah,
she said I would have been for her if she like picked Shapiro.
Yeah, this is. I'm reading the tea leaves. She's actually an anti-Zionist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wants Kamala to go off the ticket and be replaced with Walls. And Walls would be up by 10. I don't give a. People can call me coping, but like at that point you just have 0 issues.
Oh, dude, 100%. His oppo has been. They're like third removed, like, distant cousins are voting for Trump. Like, that's the oppo on that front is so awesome. They're like, they're talking about how he like swapped out his dog or something. Like, it's just so, it's so bad. It's so stupid.
Today is they said that he said that he saw Trump supporters in Pennsylvania one time, and then the other day he said he saw them in Georgia. That's like the thing they're getting him on.
Did you see this? Trump just posted literally 2 minutes ago, insider paper poll from Twitter on his Truth Social. Poll, Trump v. Harris, who won the presidential debate? 78% said Donald Trump. 23 hours remaining on the poll.
Have the live reaction polls come out yet? Oh, no, it hasn't yet. I thought, like, Red Eagle Politics, I thought he said that, like, 75% said that she won. It was just him trying to expectation set by saying that the CNN poll would say that, which the CNN polls actually have been pretty, like, predictive in the past. People forget this, but Hillary actually, like, saw a big surge after she beat Trump in the first debate in 2016. So these things can matter, like, especially in a race as tight as this one.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, Kamala decisively won tonight, like, decisively. Yeah. That's not a question, but obviously this is always a matter of, like, how close the polls will be. And in terms of, like, proving herself as someone who can, like, meet Donald Trump, she will get a lot of clout off of this too. Like, the media will go crazy over it. Yes, I'm running the 3-minute ad break now. Okay, calm down. Yeah, you can, you know, avoid those ads if you subscribe, chat. You already know. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. But overall, like I said, I think, you know, this is like, there's a phenomenal opportunity here to like legitimately push for decent policies and deliver majorly for the Democratic Party. If the Democratic Party was even remotely interested in being like a competent party that is not completely in the pocket of corporate interests, and actually wanted to, you know, go back to like a New Deal style Democratic Party, which they're not. Yeah. I know that they're not. I'm not being silly about it. Okay, sure. But
yeah, whatever. Yeah.
But like ultimately this is the opportunity. Like, the numbers could look insane right now. You have a historically unpopular Republican that people have made their minds up on, and they're like worried that him consistently calling Kamala Harris a communist is going to like harm her, or at least presenting it as though they're fearful of that, when none of those smears, which shouldn't even be smears at all, have landed. Yeah. It's so stupid.
Try to go after her and her dad, her cool ass dad.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, it was insane, bro. Yeah, she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens who are in prison. Like, I think
he saw Frank Zappa line.
No, I think he saw the K-File post. So that's gonna be like the Trump world's like gotcha. They always love getting one of those. Like, what Trump will say something that comes across as like very unhinged, and then like you know, they'll be like, it was actually true, sweetie. And you know, they'll run with that. That was like a gimme for them, I guess. But yeah, it's actually Andrew K-File. Andrew K-File's like original reporting from like 2019, I think. Fact checking online said it was misleading and not false. Lol. Yeah, exactly. It's not technically false, I'm pretty sure. But that is something that like people will hyper focus on in the Trump world. They'll be like, oh, see, the media's lying, even though yesterday they said this was the story. Okay. Well, all right. Any last words before I let you go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just waiting to see the live reaction polls. I mean, I don't think I think basically the summary is the run the Biden campaign instead of a campaign.
I'm not ending the broadcast chat. Sorry.
Yeah. It's 11 p.m. for me. So but she's trying to run the Biden campaign. She's doing it relatively well. I think that a lot of the stuff that it's like she's able to do the basic stuff that Biden couldn't. Will this resolve like the big kind of looming question of what she stands for? Probably not. Does she need to resolve that? Maybe she doesn't need to resolve that. I wrote an article on my newsletter earlier today. I think that like her campaign really does need to get real and does need to start addressing these actual concerns and does need to start running more substantial stuff instead of just really like scripted platitudes. Like, I mean, the spot run thing actually did kind of land for me because that's kind of correct. She does just say good stuff is good all the time. The full Chiron for Taylor Swift endorses Kamala Harris.
Of course.
But like she, even with all of this, even with the DNC that really put her worst, the worst version of her on display, she's still leading in more than enough states to get 270 electoral votes.
Tim Miller says, just spoke with Lindsey Graham in the spin room. He said the debate team should be fired and Trump was unprepared. Disaster.
Yeah, it was like Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard. I mean,
Laura Loomer.
Laura Loomer was there?
Yeah.
I saw he brought her. I didn't know if she was part of the team.
I don't know if she was part of the team or not, but
yeah.
I'm still going to lie and say, turns out hanging out with Laura Loomer wasn't the best idea.
No, I get it. I get it. He was at least hanging out with her, yeah.
No, as soon as I saw her coming out, as soon as I saw her ugly ass walk out of that plane, I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun night. Like, yeah. I thought he was going to be kind of boring. Like, I thought he was going to be kind of boring and not have that same energy, which might, I thought maybe that would like play well into, you know, is Trump a moderate now type that the media loves like repeating, you know, Van Jones. Yeah. But nope. As soon as I saw Laura Loomer, I was like, oh, it's going to be awesome tonight. He's going to say some unhinged ass, and he did.
Yeah,
and he did. Laura was like, Mr. President, sir, please talk about the dogs and cats that the Haitian migrants are eating. And he was like, that's a great idea. Thank you, Laura.
Facebook. They are making so many memes about that so quickly. That and Abdul, I think that's the funniest shit ever.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what was happening there. Like, I just don't understand how he has like, did he look at DeSantis's team and go, that's great. We should do
Kamala called for a second debate.
Oh, Kamala already asked for it. Wait.
Yeah. It was 12 minutes ago.
Yeah, Kamala Harris asked for it, but I don't think Trump is going to do it.
No, he's going to say they're biased.
Yeah, he's going to say, yeah, you're right about that. I saw your tweet. Like, he's going to say how biased the moderation team was, and that's why he's not going to do it. But then that opens him up for a line of attack where, you know, they could just be like, he's running away.
Yeah, people, Red Eagle Politics is saying, oh, like, I thought that he did so badly in the debate against Hillary, but he won anyway. He would have lost that, like, thing if, like, the Comey letter didn't come out. Kamala's not getting the Comey letter. Like, good luck, man.
Yeah, the Ingram says if she's asking for another debate, they don't think she won this debate. They would be saying, mic drop, we're done. They don't think that she's in a position right now to win this race. No, I think it was a gimme. That's why. I think they saw how easy this was. It was easy street, and they were like, "Oh, let's do that again, please. Let's do that every weekend."
Oh, Caitlin Clark liked the post where Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala. Caitlin Clark endorsement incoming. Angel Reese is going to back Trump now.
Oh, dude, they are. I mean, they already had secured the white woman vote. That's like, now it's permanent. It's perma-locked. There was a really funny tweet that I wanted to share with you. I think one of the Aiden Updates accounts said that, like, Kamala Harris is trying to appeal to the youth by using youth slang, because she said families with young children need to afford a crib, need to buy a crib.
A crib?
No, they literally, they thought that, like...
No.
The Aiden Ross.
Child care is one of the 3 issues they've let her talk about. So, like, that was like in a literal sense.
Yeah. See, but that's the annoying thing is, like, when she does actually have like a coherent policy point that is, like, objectively popular, and then Trump is asked about what he would do on that front, he has nothing. Like, even for that reason, like, if you want to watch Trump flail around, just, like, put policies out there and be like, this is another thing that we're going to do. So we can sit there and talk about how, like, if Kamala Harris gets elected, everyone will have health care. Oh, it was Aiden who
We
said
know
it.
that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. I was actually, my mother too expensive.
Oh, never mind. It wasn't Aiden who was saying it. It was the Aiden Update account. Kamala Harris has already started the debate by incorporating slang into her speech. Crying emoji. God, these guys, thank God they will never be able to find a polling station. You know what I mean? Like, and
they're too young to vote anyways.
They're also ineligible to vote.
Yeah.
Like, luckily. Holy. Like, contextually, how the f do you hear that and think, like, oh, she was using slang for house and not, like, a baby's crib?
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
That's their housing plan. Oh my God, the Facebook libs are going so crazy, like, over the Taylor Swift endorsement.
Oh,
this is
for
how
sure.
I keep my... What?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, Vivek said it was 3 against 1.
What is this? Oh, they're saying Kamala Harris had an earpiece and that she was getting fed lines. Let's go. Love that.
That's an earring.
No, you don't. No, it's a secret. It's a fake earring. It's not a real buy on. Okay. No, it's not a real earring. It's a fake earring that is getting. I mean, all of these are admissions of defeat.
Yeah. I need to see the CNN poll so badly.
Tim Walz learns about Harris, the Taylor Swift endorsement in real time. All right, I got to go pee real quick. I'll be back while this plays. You can speak if you want.
While we have been talking, somebody's just handed me something, and I'm going to do sort of a not very TV thing, and I'm going to read it to you in totality. I'm going to read you the whole thing because this was, I don't think you know about this, but this was just posted online by a woman you might have heard of whose name is Taylor Swift. And she has posted this online along with a photo of her cat. And I'm going to read to you what she just posted. Quote, like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now is a great time to do your research on the issues at hand and the stances these candidates take on the topics that matter to you the most. As a voter, I make sure to watch and read everything I can about their proposed policies and plans for this country. Recently, I was made aware that AI of me, quote me, falsely endorsing Donald Trump's presidential run was posted to his site. It really conjured up my fears around AI and the dangers of spreading misinformation. It brought me to the conclusion that I need to be very transparent about my actual plans for this election as a voter. The simplest way to combat misinformation is with the truth. Then she says, quote, I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election. I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need to champion them. I think she is a steady-handed, gifted leader, and I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if we're led by calm and not chaos. I was so heartened and impressed by her selection of running mate Tim Walz, who has been standing up for LGBTQ+ rights, IVF, and a woman's right to her own body for decades. I've done my research, and I've made my choice. Your research is all yours to do, and the choice is yours to make. I also want to say, especially to first-time voters, remember that in order to vote, you have to be registered. I also find it's much easier to vote early. I will link where to register and find early voting dates and info in my story. With love and hope,
he's like,
Taylor
I'm about to be
Swift,
the vice president.
Signed, childless cat lady. I have to get your response to that, Mr. Governor.
All those things, I am incredibly grateful, first of all, to Taylor Swift. I say that also as a cat owner, a fellow cat owner. Swifties, you heard it. We know that it's there. That was eloquent, and it was clear. And that's the type of courage we need in America to stand up. We've seen it out of those Republicans who were at the DNC. We've seen it out of women who would like to have their own personal lives kept personal, but are forced to go out there because they nearly died because they can't get abortion services in a pregnancy. And now you have somebody like Taylor Swift coming out, making that very clear. This would be the opportunity, Swifties. KamalaHarris.com. Get on over there. Give us a hand. Get things going. Get on over there.
God damn. Wait, Trump is on ABC? Oh no, he's licking his wounds? No shot.
Oh no.
Oh my God, he is.
We're looking at polls. We're looking at polls. The worst poll that we've had was 71 that I see. 71% to like 24 or 25. Well, we'll look at it. But
all right, Whit. So if you still have me, he's walked a little bit away from our camera. Now he's at the edge there. You won't be able to hear him well. But one of the things you did hear was a question just asked by our Catherine Folders asking, why not commit to another debate if you believe that you won? He said he believes he won this debate. But then he was also asked, why be here in the spin room spinning about this debate if it's a debate that you believe was a clean win? We're going to try to get you as close as we can
it's over.
to
It's
Donald
over.
Trump. But I don't think you're going to be able to hear. Let me try to get my mic in there and see if you can hear Whit if you're still going through my camera here.
Yeah, we're listening. Let's see what we can hear.
Before I go, did I mention that he looked like complete shit?
debates. I thought this.
Did you mention like what? What?
Did he look like complete? He looked awful.
Oh yeah, he looked so angry and disheveled.
People were saying he looked darker than Kamala.
Well, I thought she was not very good tonight. She didn't protect the vice president. He's, the office of the vice president. And certainly, if you take a look at it, she was terrible with respect to the president. She's trying to get herself away from Biden, and she wasn't able to do that tonight. I think it was a big thing. They wanted to disassociate with Biden, and they weren't able to do it. What did you think?
He is crashing out.
Mr. President.
This is the closest you can get to a crash out.
Yeah, I have nothing to do with Project 24. What do you think of the moderators throughout the debate? Well, I think the moderators were very unfair.
All right.
Ed and Jermaine, are you here? Are you here? WAPO poll came out.
Yeah, I am. I was just muted. I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah, WAPO poll came out. Swing State Debate Focus Group has Harris winning 22-2.
Oh, was that like the undecided voters thing?
He's having a meltdown on camera right now. This is insane. I don't know. I'm gonna try to find it real quick. Hold on. Oh my God, he's still going. He's in the spin room. Oh God.
He talked about polls that we're not certain of where they exactly came from as showing him up in the race. But point being is Donald Trump has made this unscheduled appearance here to the spin room to say that he won.
David Muir,
he got asked the question,
go
why
to the
be
night
here in the spin room if you believe this was a clean win? And he didn't really fully answer that.
All right, Jay, forgive me as we're
it's
following
the swing
everything.
state one.
Former President Trump right there in the spin room. We are going to step away from this just for a second. We'll come back if anything happens. But we want to talk to our Republican and Democratic strategists,
Yeah, that's not
Ryan
like the
Priebus
CNN
and
live
Donna Brazil,
reaction,
to get
that's
their
still
reaction.
pretty. I really want to see what the two people say because they usually have interviews.
Yeah. Going into the spin room after you did a debate is the worst possible thing you could do.
Yeah. She needs to give more interviews. Like she can do fine. She needs to believe in herself more.
Yeah. I'm actually shocked at how much better she was on the debate stage than she was with Dana Fash.
Yeah.
I think it's because she's secretly a supporter.
Yeah.
And like
yeah.
she was worried that Dana could like smell it on
Get
her.
around that. Yeah.
Yeah. And was gonna laser her.
They had real moderators there instead of fake journalists.
Well, I mean, yeah, dude. CNN is so cooked. I mean, fuck CNN. Actually, they're such dude.
Yeah, this suck.
Yeah. JD's on CNN.
Oh,
Let's see what he's saying now. They cooked him on ABC. I don't know if you saw that.
How you wanted it to go in terms of Harris clearly trying to get under his skin, talking about crowd sizes, talking about former officials like John Kelly and Mark Esper and others. I mean, I heard from some Trump advisors who said he took the debate too much. Do you believe that?
No, look, I think that what we saw from Kamala Harris was a lot of platitudes. It was a lot of plans that had no real substance behind them and no real precision behind them. And what is most interesting, and it's really the sort of microcosm of this entire race, is Kamala Harris has a record. Donald Trump has a record. Donald Trump is proud of his record and is running to it. Kamala Harris is running away from her record and pretending that somehow her term as president is going to be radically different from...
Do you think he should have done that sooner?
Well, I think he did. I mean, he did it in the closing statement. He also really hammered her on her inconsistencies, right? This is a person who said she wanted to ban fracking. Now she says she doesn't. She wanted to defund the police. Now she said she doesn't. She wanted a secure border. I thought that he really did, actually. On three issues in particular,
Trump,
I think he was very focused on hammering Kamala Harris's inconsistencies with her record, what she says now versus what she said even a few weeks ago in some cases. It was on the border, it's on fracking, and it's on defund the police. That was clearly what he's most focused on, and I think it's not surprising because those are three of the issues that the American people care the most about. I mean, look, this is a person who was to the far left of her own party and now is trying to pretend that she's effectively Donald Trump. My favorite line of the night is when he said, she's going to don a MAGA cap and pretend that she agrees with me on everything. I think the American people are too smart to be fooled by Kamala Chameleon acting to be somebody that she's clearly not.
Yeah, she kind of smirked when he said that he was going to send her one. On abortion, though.
This is a man who saw the former vice president under Donald Trump get almost executed and said, that's my job. Like, I love that. I will be your man, sir.
Yeah.
Like, he knew what he was signing up for. You know what I mean?
It was so funny when he was like, she was talking to me like I'm a child. Like, you got to get that resolved, man. You're like 40 years old.
Yeah.
Legislation that has no chance of being brought. I think it's a totally reasonable point. But again,
the CNN instant poll coming up after this. I have to stay on for this.
I want to know if she can, because and Kamala Harris fundamentally thinks that abortion should be funded by taxpayers right up to the moment.
Okay, the poll before that. Yeah. No, I swear I did not. Yeah, instant poll. Okay, I want to stay on for that because I think the record. I know like Biden had a really huge victory in like the first debate in 2020, and Hillary did really well in 2016. And like if you look at the polling from 2016, it was like pretty impactful. Hillary was only up by 2, which is about as much that like Kamala is up by now, like kind of ironically enough. And after the debate, but before Access Hollywood, she went up by 4. If Kamala goes up by 4, she's gonna be leading in every single swing state. She could like really like be in a solid position. So like I mean she accomplished a lot of what she wanted to.
Yeah. JD Vance trying to spin this is so
and the question of how
shitty.
far he would go is
terrible position
to me,
for him to be in.
A semantic thing that doesn't actually make sense.
They
It's an
love
absurd
making him do shit like
proposition.
this.
It's never going to happen. And I think what President Trump is saying is, I don't like to deal in these absurd hypotheticals. It's not going to happen, and he's been clear that he doesn't support it.
Well, I think there may be some women voters who would have liked for him to answer.
He's losing Barstool.
Yeah.
Is he brought up this misleading false claim that you yourself have talked about in recent days about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, abducting people's pets and eating them, which officials there have said is not true. You yourself acknowledged it may be false on Twitter. You still told people to keep spreading it. But Trump just amplified it to tens of millions of people who were watching.
He's losing everybody from
push not true.
Kamala's
first of all, it's true. They've said they don't have all the evidence.
They said they have no evidence.
We've heard from a number of constituents on the ground, Caitlin, who
why
both
do they think
firsthand
this
and
is a
secondhand
good thing to run on? Like, who told them that this is a solid story to go with?
People on the ground dealing with this think that it is happening.
I can't believe they're like tripling down on this over and over again.
Cover this stuff for themselves.
What is going on?
A lot of people saying my pets are being abducted, or geese at the city pond are being abducted and slaughtered right in front of us. This is crazy stuff. And again, whether those
he's doubling down on this
turn out to be mostly true, somewhat true, whatever the case may be. Caitlin, this town has been ravaged by 20,000 migrants coming in. Healthcare costs are up. housing costs are up, communicable diseases like HIV and TB have skyrocketed in this small Ohio town. This is what Kamala Harris's border policies have done. And I think it's interesting, Caitlin, that the media didn't care about the carnage wrought by these policies until we turned it into a meme about cats. And that speaks to the media's failure to care about what's going on in these communities. If we have to meme about it to get the media to care, we're going to keep on doing it because the media should care about what's going on.
I saw you say that. I think the media does care about it. I just read a very lengthy report in the New York Times on it. PBS NewsHour did a whole story on it. But can I ask you?
By us talking about it and bringing it up, nobody cared about this until we raised this issue.
Senator, you talked about that your office has gotten a lot of reports. I mean, if someone calls your office and says they saw Bigfoot, that doesn't mean they saw Bigfoot. Why? I mean, he, as a running mate, and he certainly does
formerly
as the candidate
Daily
to
Wire's
not promote false
Caitlin.
information, right?
Caitlin, it's a totally fair point, but nobody's calling my office and saying that they saw Bigfoot. What they're calling and saying is we're seeing migrants kidnap our dogs and cats.
Yeah, it's a fake story. You just believe it, dumb
Now, again,
fuck.
I have a responsibility as a United States Senator. I think the media has a responsibility as an institution that cares about truth to actually take people seriously when they say their lives have been ruined by this migrant crisis. And again, if every single thing that the media says about this story is false, the verifiable facts are had their lives destroyed by 20,000 migrants coming in and uprooting life.
Again, officials said no credible evidence of the claim. But Senator J.D. Vance, thank you for joining us with your debate reaction. Jake, back to you.
Oh my gosh, she wasn't a Daily Wire, she was in the Daily Caller. That's so much worse.
Comment. I mean, looking at a New York Times story from 8 days ago about the immigration crisis in Springfield,
it's like
and
even
the problems
worse,
created
right?
there, saying we have to make up nonsense that isn't true so that the media covers things that the media is already covering is an odd defense. But I digress.
Oh,
Chris?
so there is an immigration crisis in Springfield, Ohio. Thank God, CNN. Thank you for defending this very real thing that's occurring. God, I hate these pieces of shit so much. These monstrous pieces of, I swear to fucking God.
There was a labor shortage in the in like the town. They were like they didn't have enough workers. It was like a lot of them like said this was like a big benefit to them. But
yeah, a lot
whatever.
like I've seen like 8 different business owners be like the Haitian migrants have been awesome. Like they've been working really hard. They're great.
Yeah, there was some story where like some like pastor was like, these guys are religious as hell. I have like all these people are finally going to like the church again.
Yeah. I've been begging the media to ask a very simple question for months that David Muir, my sexy idol, finally asked, who was like, walk us through the steps of how you would deport 11 million people.
Yeah.
And of course, predictably, Trump did not respond to that and talked about how they're eating, you know, the migrants are eating cats or whatever.
That and the healthcare stuff, it felt like it was like going into like the real world, like we're like the sane universe.
What was this? She wasn't at the Daily Caller. What was she at? I thought Caitlin Collins, like she used to work for like the Daily Wire or the Daily Caller or something.
She did work at the Daily Caller. She worked at the Daily Caller.
Yeah. Wire chatter saying, yeah, which is even worse because Daily Caller is the Tucker Carlson shop,
yeah,
right?
they were like the guys who were like so Facebook had to start promoting the Daily Wire instead of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to be the White House correspondent for the Daily Caller. She worked there for like years. She worked
Trump
there
is
for
on
3
Fox.
years.
Oh, Trump is on Fox in the spin room defending his.
To be fair, they weren't, but I felt very comfortable. Yeah. We have the best policy. She has no policy.
You know, one thing that interested me, because I've known you for a long time, and one of the things that I was watching in you tonight is that you were all business. You know, a lot of times when you're at your rallies or we do a town hall.
Sean, they're destroying our country.
Is that what it was? Is it the seriousness of the moment?
There's nothing to smile about. You know, I'm a good smiler, but there's nothing to smile about. They're destroying. We have 21 million people that have been released into our country, and many of them are terrorists and people
Lincoln
from
Riley,
mental institutions.
Rachel Morin, Jocelyn Nungary.
All dead.
I list all these names
I know.
on the show. People raped, victims of violent crime.
He's memorized
names a lot of people never.
26 people's names. 26.
I was with them.
That's insane.
I was with them.
Who else you've met other families? You met the families of
I met them all.
Afghanistan.
Nungary. I met.
You met Nungary's family.
Yeah, I met 5 or 6 of them. Not even talking about the 13 soldiers that were in Afghanistan, the families of the 13 soldiers, which Biden won't even talk to, and he's the one that caused their death. Just as if he had a pistol in his hand, he and her caused their death. just as if literally they had a gun in their hand.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. When you're in a situation like that, what is going through your mind? What goes on behind the scenes? How do you prepare for your debates?
Well, I think you sort of, I always say I've been preparing all my life for these debates. You know, you can't go in like she did. She goes into a room and she memorized lines, more or less. I thought I got one cute one. I'm talking when I said, I'm talking, when she started interrupting.
Yeah, she said that to Mike
I
Pence.
wanted to get even for that. You know, that was not very nice what she did. But no, I thought it was.
That was cute. He did.
It's interesting that one line that really stuck out that did make me laugh out loud is when you said you're going to send her a MAGA hat. There are a lot of positions now. All of a sudden, she's come over to your side. She's been against the border wall. She's been against.
There's only one problem. If she ever won, immediately from the day after that election, everything would go back to confiscate your guns and forget about oil and everything else. You know, they were cutting back on oil way back. They got rid of Anwar, the biggest oil site perhaps in the world in Alaska. They did things that are so bad and so destructive, but energy prices started doubling up, and she immediately went back to the Trump plan. But I would have been now 4 times higher than they are right now, because that was 3.5 years ago.
Right.
When she cut it, she cut everything out. She went to wind and went to all this other stuff that doesn't work from an economic standpoint and even a visual standpoint. I don't get the wind. You take these gorgeous plains and deserts and all this stuff, they put these windmills up, they go up like a 30-story building in some cases. They destroy everything, they cut out all, and the environmentalists say, aren't they wonderful? But it's the most expensive form of energy, and it's never going to do for our country.
So if we look at the issues on the economy, on immigration, on law and order, on energy, and America's role in the world, is there anything you could point to that you would say they have been successful on?
No, they have been unsuccessful at everything. And even the economy, I said, as part of the economy, you've let 21 million people, more than that, I think, with all the gotaways.
What were you saying during the debate about one of the killing our economy? Down ballot votes? Oh, it's when he was like, it's when he literally was like, oh, you can't pass any of that. You can't pass any of that because the Senate is 50-50. It's like, you never want to say that, dumbass. Like, now you've given a perfect opportunity to the Democratic Party to be like, Trump's right. That's why we have to win the Senate. And that's why we have to win the House. You know, it's like
they're literally running in like these states, like in Maryland, like against Larry Hogan. They're saying that these like Republican votes are going to stop them from bringing back Roe. And like Vance is literally just saying, oh, yeah, they're right. Anybody who votes with McConnell is going to vote like against this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, CNN is back, and they're doing the focus group.
About the debate.
Yes, I need it. I need it.
Yeah, Anderson, we talk about how critical Pennsylvania is for each candidate's pathway to 270 electoral votes. We're here in Erie County, Erie, Pennsylvania. We're sitting currently at Mercyhurst University. Been wonderful host for us. The reason why we're here 400 miles away from the debate is Erie County is the swingiest county in the most important swing state of this campaign. There's no question about it. When Obama in 2012, when Trump in 2016, when Biden in 2020, the last 2 cycles, just about 1,500 votes each separated the 2 candidates. So we wanted to ask voters who have not made a firm decision yet who they want to vote for, what they actually saw in this debate. Now, these are voters that have in the past supported Republicans and Democrats. They have in the past shown support for former President Trump or for Joe Biden. But coming into this night, they told us that they had not made up their minds yet in this election. So just to step back a little bit, show our focus group 2 people, Erie residents, again, most important state, most important county in that state. We asked for a show of hands before the debate who hadn't made up their mind yet, but thought this debate may determine
not a single
where they would
person
go
under the
with
age
their
of
vote.
50 in
to
that.
Start with this debate, who do you think won by show of
Erie
hands?
residents.
Former President Trump. 2, I'll give it 4, but tentative. 2 over there. What about Vice President Harris?
Damn. Damn.
More hands. For those of you who thought this debate could be determinative, how many of you have made up your minds based on what you saw tonight on stage in Philadelphia? Raise your hands.
It's not.
All right. I want to ask you why. What did you see that brought you to a conclusion?
I think it's important to remember that we are voting for the leader of our country and not who we like the most or who we want in our wedding party, but who is actually going to make our country better. And we're in an incredibly unique situation where we've had both of the candidates in office before, and we've gotten to see what they would do. And when facts come to facts, my life was better when Trump was in office. The economy was higher, inflation was lower. things were better overall. And now with Kamala's administration, things haven't been so fantastic. And she's saying she can fix the problems that her administration has caused, but I just don't know if I can afford to take that risk.
Were you leaning towards the former president coming in tonight?
Probably.
And did you vote for him in 2016 or 2020?
I did.
So, decision made there. What did you think?
As to who I would vote for in this election, I strongly felt Kamala was more optimistic, more respectful. I thought she had plans that she tried to describe in the minutes worth of time that she had. I mean, they really were limited with their time. So, I don't know, I just felt more strongly for her as opposed to her opponent.
I want to talk about some of the moments of the debate because, as we told you guys before,
Bro, every
the
time
debate,
I think about like swing districts in swing states, and I hear from like undecided voters in said swing districts in swing states, I am reminded that the Electoral College in the current way that it's structured is the dumbest possible way to do elections. Like these people barely know how to exist and be human. Like I feel like they're operating on an entirely different plane of existence.
Because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer
Very
abortion,
democratic
because the
from you,
baby
bro.
is born
Shut up.
is okay.
Hey, dumbass, I'm saying I'm advocating for more democracy and not less, because the election should not be left up to like one district in one swing state. Like you're anti-democracy in this situation. Like if you're pro-electoral college.
Government, and Donald Trump certainly should not be telling a woman what to do with her body.
Now that sound, obviously, that moment was a critical moment, not just for the debate on one of the critical issues of this campaign on the issue of reproductive rights and abortion, but it was also one that garnered significant reaction from our focus group, which I want to ask about right now. For those of you who responded positively to Vice President Harris's answer, tell me why. Yeah, please.
I responded positively to her answer because I do struggle with the abortion issue, and I don't know that she and I agree, but I don't know that, like she said, that government should be in charge of people's decisions. And I think that when she was talking about situations of rape and incest, I think that those happen more than we think that they do. And I don't know, I just felt her impassioned response and that she would carry it out.
And that resonated with you in the moment.
Yes, it did.
Who else had a positive response? Go ahead, please.
I felt like it was her most genuine and passionate that I saw her pretty much throughout it. I didn't necessarily agree with what she was saying, but my favorable reactions were because it was nice to see the passion and believability that she stands behind, and then have something to gauge more of what she says on, since she hasn't spoken a lot solidly about a lot of issues.
And I think what's been interesting, again, following how you guys were tracking the debate, which is a fascinating experience, and I should know, nobody in this room has been listening to the post-game coverage, nobody in this room has been listening to the analysis. We've actually all been talking amongst ourselves, and it's been a really great conversation. There was another critical moment, and this was Donald Trump's best moment based on your guys' responses, and it was when he was discussing Afghanistan. Listen.
We were getting out. We would have been out faster.
No one cares
than
about
that.
this. I will always push this. No one cares about this, okay? People in media and defense contractors cared more about this than anybody else, okay? And then they shut up about it because we dumped all the funds from Afghanistan into Ukraine anyway. So don't worry. Those weapons contracts are still safe. Nobody is like, oh my God, the 13 of our best soldiers died. I'm sorry, okay? That comes across as like crazy, ridiculous, maybe a little bold, okay? But no, this is not a thing that you can push for. No, there's no shot. People care less about the 13 of our best troops dying in Afghanistan than they do about Israel, Palestine. And it seems like none of these give it about Israel, Palestine anyway. So like, I'm telling you right now, that is just like a direct laser from Trump to be like, that's the Hunter Biden of this election cycle, which is ironic because he also tried to bring up the Hunter Biden situation as well, which was great. I love that he did a callback to Hunter Biden.
Iraq back under President Bush. And when I saw that we were leaving that amount of high-tech equipment in the hands of our enemy, and later that day or later that week, I saw on the news where them celebrating with our guns in their hands, I realized what a travesty that was. In the loss of money in that we abandoned when we left, plus the very bullets that we left there that they were shooting at us as we flew away into planes.
We have a lot more to get to with this group. We're going to get to them in a moment.
I don't understand how you believe that people don't care about that event as an American. It was objectively a good thing, and that's precisely the reason why only 13 American military members died in Afghanistan under the Biden reign, whereas 67 military members died in Afghanistan when Trump was president. You want to know why one number was larger than the other? Because that's what happens when you pull out of a country, okay? Automatically, magically, no soldiers die in Afghanistan if there are no soldiers to be in Afghanistan. That's it. And the dumb fucks over at the Kamala Harris campaign should probably reiterate that position over and over again to be like, hey, you know, obviously not a single veteran should ever die. Not a single soldier should ever die. But the reality of the matter is 67 of our beautiful troops died under your reign. You admitted that. They were sniping. The Taliban was sniping our troops. You said it yourself. Okay? Get the out of here, dude. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? There's also something additionally funny about like talking about the Taliban swinging around American weapons because it's like, yeah, dog, we gave them those weapons many, many years ago. Okay? Like years prior. They used it on us because we gave them the weapons originally when they were fighting against the Russians. Nate Silver said the debate is much closer if you watch with the sound off. Yeah, big brain, but it's not. Because even on the optics front, I think that was also very cowardly, by the way, from the Democratic Party. Let's just get back on the Democrats for a second. Very cowardly from the Democratic Party. They got like their first ever bad press. And that was when the Biden, honeymoon ended, basically. When the Biden honeymoon ended and the media started like ripping into the Biden admin for pulling out because they're monstrous pieces of and care only about their defense contractors that run ads on their website at the top of the hour for 3 minutes, which of course you can avoid by subscribing. The debate is so close if you don't use any of your senses. Yeah, the debate is so close. I closed my ears. I closed my eyes. I, lost my sense of taste. And that's why it was close. Now, the real question is this consequential? And that's what I was trying to talk about with respect to what the goals are. If the goals are to win new voters, because Trump is already locked in. He's got the base. Okay, he's got his base. Is he going to get new people? Like, do you know many people in your life or anyone around you that is like, who's this Trump guy? I'll bite. Like, let me try to figure this guy out. What's going on with this Trump guy? Talk to me. Like, no, he is maxed out on name recognition. And that is precisely the reason why when he got shot in the head, okay, Asmin's chat, dog, if you think Asmongold's chat weren't already Trump voters, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. He's not expanding the base with Asmongold's chat. Also, none of them are going to vote anyway because they're too busy being permanently stapled to their goddamn chairs playing Horde. Okay? Shut the fuck up. Asmongold's audience is going to vote Trump. Oh my God, I can't believe it. No, they're not going to vote for anybody because they don't. Okay? Anyway, regardless. Even Asmongold's chat had a poll with Harris getting 40%. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's way higher than I would have thought.
Yeah, like this is, shocking.
Does CNN have their poll out?
I thought you said their poll was good and you were
waiting
seen
it yet. Their poll was good 8 years ago. I haven't seen it yet.
The memes for the cats and dogs line has arrived.
Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating.
Oh my God.
They're eating.
Funny.
That was really perfectly timed. He's so griped up.
Yeah. 16 debate thoughts, mostly rather bullish for Harris. But to be fair, the set of questions were pretty friendly to Harris. Nothing about Biden's fitness for office, for instance, even though his catastrophic failure in the first debate is the reason that she rather than Biden was on stage tonight. Why would they ask Kamala Harris?
He's not gonna be president after January. Like, who gives?
Why would they ask Kamala Harris, who's currently running for president, about the outgoing president's fitness, dude.
Yeah.
This is like, I'm sorry. I love Ryan Grimm. I love him. You guys know this. He was complaining about how like they didn't fact check Kamala Harris. It's like, yeah, they didn't because she's a Democrat. And that doesn't mean because as a Democrat, she never lies. Sometimes Democrats lie too, especially when they tell you they're going to do good things and then never follow through on it. But most Democrats are too scared to come out and just like make bold statements, even in terms of like good policy positions, let alone bold statements that like justify any of those policy positions.
The insurance companies are eating your cat.
Like, I'm sorry, Kamala Harris didn't say that, like, yeah, Kamala Harris didn't do the reversal and said, like, you know, every white guy wants to shoot up a school or something. I don't know what the Democratic version of that would be. You know what I mean? The only time, actually, that Kamala Harris did lie was when she was like, oh, was doing mass rapes on October 7th, which, of course, ain't a single person in the media is ever going to correct that record because, obviously, if they did that, they get shot out of a cannon. So, you know, that's not going to happen regardless. So, of course, she's not like lying on any unhinged issues, whereas Trump is lying all the goddamn time. Like, the reality of the matter is, like, yes, of course, fact checking from moderators is a good thing. I think it is a really good thing. And in prior years, it wasn't a thing that happened very frequently because at least like most of the Republican candidates, regardless of like how awful they were and how Trump is a continuation of like the regular Republican agenda in very meaningful ways, they at least were more buttoned up and wouldn't ever say Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Like, I think Mitt Romney was corrected once. That was like a historic moment. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. I think the CNN poll came out. It was 63% Harris.
Where is
this
it?
is what some guy on Twitter said. I don't know if it's true or not.
No, it is. It is.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, 63%
Kamala Harris won the debate. Only
Whoa.
37%
Those are
say Donald Trump
2016
won the
first
debate,
debate numbers.
and that is quite different than the expectations going into this
Yeah, that's
among
really
this
high.
group of debate watchers.
Yeah,
I think
I did not think she was going to do this
going
well.
into the debate, who do you
Yeah.
expect to win the
Like,
debate?
straight
I don't know if
Well,
those
it was
are his worst
50,
numbers
50,
ever, but that's
50% expected
close.
Harris, 50% expected Trump to win the debate. That was before the debate, and we just showed you where it ended up afterwards, 63% to
Yeah,
37%. And take a look at
history
this,
is any
Jake.
indication, they result in a bump
From what
for
we
her.
saw in June.
Oh,
Compare
yeah.
these numbers to Biden.
I
In
think
June,
it's not
you
necessarily
see
a bump
that it
due
was
to like
67% to 33%.
the things that we talked about in terms of like, you know, people heard her policies and were like really invested, but more so a bump about like, you know, people want someone who's a winner and like they will be less reluctant to like outwardly say that they support Kamala Harris.
Yeah, let me see what the
All
CNN
right, David
numbers for
Chalian,
Trump versus
while,
Biden
no
were.
doubt, this debate will not be quite as consequential.
Inverse
as the last
Biden
one.
numbers. Yeah.
It does seem as though, Dana Bash, that at least according to the instant polls of debate watchers, people think that Kamala Harris resounds.
Yeah, it's very close to inverse Biden numbers. In the Biden debate, they said 67% of people thought that Trump won, and this isn't really that different. It's within the margin of error. So congratulations, Trump. You came within the margin of error of like literally the worst debate performance in the history of elections.
But
The literal only difference in policy of Harris and Trump on the border is the intensity of the rhetoric. Panic and scapegoating of migrants is bipartisan. Yeah. As it stands on the policy front, Trump's policies are definitely worse than Kamala Harris's, but like Kamala Harris's are right wing as fuck. They are literally 2020 Trump era policies, like directly written by a Trumper from Oklahoma. Like, what are we talking about?
No clue where those numbers came from, and he was
James
asked about it at the spin
Langford.
room and didn't give an answer. But
He
I
didn't
also
respond
think,
to that.
You
I was kind
Harris,
of curious in seeing how he'd
there were some
respond to that,
risks
but he didn't
here
really
for
say
her
anything.
tonight, and she had a lot of work to do. And I'm thinking
Yeah,
about
I was
earlier
also
when-
that's the other thing. Like, I thought that it would be a gimme for Trump to be like, do you believe her? Like, if I'm in Trump's camp, I would just keep saying like, you called my supporters Nazis for 4 years for wanting to build a wall. You didn't do that. You let the migrants pour in. They started up the country. And then you started recognizing that they were doing that. So then you literally tried to push for. Did I just get 500 gifted subs? Holy mate feed art. Jesus Christ, dude. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's insane. It's still going. A bro stole Mate Feed Art stole. Is this the Russian dude? Am I being funded by Russia right now? Is that what's going on?
Yeah,
What the fuck?
they're the next Tim Pool.
Yeah, Ukraine is the greatest enemy of mankind.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that video. That video lives in my mind, dude. When he just does the little fist on the table, like he's trying to act like he's angry about Ukraine existing.
I haven't seen that.
They're not even following. They're just gifting hella subs. What the?
Damn, it is Russia.
Maybe they're still going.
Yeah, this is the highest share. It's not the biggest spread against him, but it's the highest share his opponent has ever gotten in an instant poll.
Yeah.
1960, Nixon was the vice president.
Yeah, this is like in the
criticism
territory of like
John
the
Kennedy
really
that he
bad
was too
debate
young,
against
too
Biden.
callow, too inexperienced. After that first debate, that went away.
Yeah, maybe Trump will
because
drop
people
out.
Thought at the
Yeah.
very least that Kennedy.
They're gonna put in
showed that he
JD,
stood up
and he's gonna lose by
was
18 points,
Nixon's equal and
like
perhaps
the
his
polls
superior.
say, and we'll finally
1980,
live in the real
Jimmy
world.
Carter, a lot of concern. It was Ronald Reagan too big a risk? And after that debate, people were reassured. They didn't like Carter particularly. We can take this jump into Reagan. In the New York Times poll over the weekend, 3 times as many people said they needed to know more about Kamala Harris than said that about Donald Trump. And I got to think for a lot of that 28% of Americans that they were reassured by what they saw tonight. So I think that it gives permission to support her for people that had doubts.
Well, there's 2 things I noticed. One was the word that
Chris
Senator
Wallace
J.D. Vance used,
watching
the
the
word
broadcast,
We
repeating our
talked to
talking
Caitlin
points.
Collins about how he describes the ability of Vice President Harris to articulate her platforms. It's what is demanded of the incumbent versus what was actually provided by a
Democrats
former incumbent.
have raised
She's expected to talk in
$9
very
million
granular detail.
in the past
Trump
hour.
had very many bald assertions, and yet he believes that he was successful in that endeavor.
Did you hear
nonetheless.
that?
The other issue is this important idea of managing expectations. She has described herself from the very get-go since she
Said, I watch your content via YouTube all the time, but I never got to catch your stream. Thanks for being my goat. Holy, well, thank you for the unimaginable amount of gifted subs that you just gifted. That was wild. All the Swifties, yeah, 666 gifted subs.
It's like 12 a.m.
an
my
election,
time,
and
so
there's
I'm
still
gonna
many
probably
days
log
to
off,
go.
But I finally got the poll that I wanted.
I'm sorry. Well, yeah. Now that you got your CNN poll. Well, thank you so much, Edinger Benton. Where can people find you?
On Twitter, Edinger Mentum, and EdingerMentum.news. I will probably be writing an article tomorrow about a Trump replacement tier list in the aftermath of this. But thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure. Hopefully, we'll be back the next debate if there is one, and then election night. We'll see how that goes.
All right.
Probably well for her at this point because nothing ever happens. The Democrats always win.
Yeah, because they cheat. They lie, cheat, and steal.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, more spin.
Tonight, what would you say?
Debate tonight. This was my best debate. We had a 92% rating in one poll. We had an 86% rating in another. We had 77% in another. We won every one of the polls that came out tonight, and there were quite a few of them.
You were asked if you would veto a national.
Bro, this is another
And you did not
anti-Trump
say
race,
yes or no.
dude.
What is your answer to that?
He's
All you have
just
to do
so
is check it.
bad.
It was a perfect answer on abortion, and I've done a great job in that, and I brought our country together. Thank you.
Yes or no? Will you debate? That was former President Donald Trump earlier as he was exiting the spin room. Joining me now, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, a surrogate of the former president. You heard Donald Trump there talking about the debate. Would you say that Donald Trump won this debate?
He had a very strong performance. No doubt, I thought the 2 moderators were absolutely biased. And 2 things that you walk away with. Number 1, we know who Donald Trump is. 4 years of Donald Trump, we had very low unemployment. We saw 7 million jobs created, 2/3 going to minorities and to women. We saw HBCU funding hit a record level and made the funding permanent. We frankly saw research on sickle cell anemia accelerated. What we didn't see in this debate was who is Kamala Harris. We've seen her change her position time and time again, and tonight we have no clarity on her position. She's now for fracking when she was against it. She now wants a border wall when she was against it. The border czar herself certainly did not go to the border for 3+ years. She's had 3 years to tell the American people who she is, and we still don't know who she is. Where does she stand on the #1 issue the American people care about, The economy, inflation, the cost of living. We don't know.
Well, and does it bother you that Donald Trump won't say where he stands on a really important issue, which is abortion?
Actually, he's been very clear on the issue of
why would
abortion.
he have to say yes or no tonight?
Well, here's what he said. It is a state's issue. The American people are solving that problem state by state by state, exactly where the echo chambers around the country wanted the issue. What we did not hear was Kamala Harris answer the question, does she support abortions in the third trimester, the 7th, 8th, and 9th month? She refused to answer that question. We have one candidate who is absolutely crystal clear that the voters in the states will make the decision, Roe v. Wade is gone, and one candidate who would not say, I refuse to have late-term abortions.
Well, she didn't say where she believed the restriction should be.
She said she wanted to go back to Roe v. Wade, which would allow for abortion up until the day of birth.
And he did not say, which of course you know is rare and doesn't really happen, but he would not say about vetoing a ban. But the debate overall and how it went, CNN conducted an instant poll. 63% of people said they thought Harris won, 37%.
It's insane how blatantly CNN tried to fill the shoes of pre-Trump Fox News. Corporate media makes me sick. Nothing is below them. Yeah. I think that CNN is ass and has gotten more ass over the years. They really hammered the anti-Trump line for 4 years in an effort to like farm as much clout as they possibly could. And then they turn around and became like light MAGA. They openly made that decision, by the way. They like, it's not like a hidden secret decision. They like straight up said it. I mean, most corporate media is just so garbage, especially when it comes to foreign policy. Kamala repeated, I'm going to have the most lethal military line again in her closure statement. I didn't even hear that. That's gross, dude. They hired a Republican strategist to run their coverage. Yeah. Do you like Jen Psaki? Jen Psaki, what is the fallout of an extremely close victory for Harris? Do we have more political violence? No, I think post January 6th, like a lot of the deterrence that kicked in for people who genuinely thought that like they were above the law, or that the justice system was like in favor of them. It was only to like lock up their enemies, poor people, homeless people, black people, brown people, actually realized that like they can't get away with that. And that's why you see a lot less of that kind of movement. One other very important aspect of this is that the AstroTurf stuff stopped dead in its tracks because there was legal liability attached to it. I've talked about this quite a bit, like TPUSA, AEI, American Enterprise Institute, Heritage Foundation. Like a lot of these think tanks used to pump money into like busing protesters over to like different races and stuff. And when the Trump campaign is too caught up in the Trump campaign is unfortunately or fortunately spending a shit ton of money on legal troubles. They don't have enough money to bus people to places. And also beyond that, the Republican establishment, like institutions, are not pumping money into busing people into certain places. So the likelihood that real political violence will happen is, even less, especially paired up with like actual legal repercussions that they experience for the first time ever. I don't understand why she doesn't want a public option. Come on, Chad. Like, understand. She doesn't want a legal option because a public option because she doesn't care. Okay, that's it. These guys are like Joe Biden never talked about the public option after they packed up Bernie Sanders. He said, "Oh, I want a public option. It's so much better than Medicare for all." There was never a single moment where he uttered those words ever again after Bernie Sanders dropped out. Okay. Like, let's be real, beyond the copium, like I love watching Republicans cry because they're monstrous pieces of, but this doesn't mean that like the Democrats actually want to do good things by the American public. Okay. They don't. That's just the reality. It's just lesser evil voting. That's all you're going to get. You're not going to get anything. You're going to get like, maybe if you're lucky, some tax credits. If you fit a certain demographic. Okay. They are neoliberal through and through, okay? And they have the same exact corporate benefactors that the Republican Party has. The Republican Party is obviously worse, but this doesn't mean that the Democratic Party is good. Think about it this way, okay? Think about it this way. There's no reason for the Democrats to not like take certain initiatives. and like push forward certain things, even in the interest of winning the election. Okay, make the Dems the new right-wing main party and the Republican Party. What do you mean? What that it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. What has happened historically is that the more Democrats slant to the right, the more the right goes even further right. So it just becomes a fascist party and a center-right party. Like, think about it this way. Every single key policy position from the Democrats so far, even ones that I like the expansion of the child tax credit, are technically tax cuts. It's either tax cuts or deregulation. We need to build new housing units, 3 million new housing units. How do we do that? Deregulate housing. Okay, we're gonna give tax cuts to startups, $50,000 in tax credits to startups. We're gonna do tax credits for people with children, child tax credit expansion. These are all technically neoliberal ideas. And on top of that, in terms of climate change, when we have like a disastrous situation ahead of us in terms of climate change, we're like, no, we're gonna drill. We love drilling. Like, there is a hyper focus on drilling and fracking as though it's like something that every voter cares about. And I don't think people care about it as much. And I do like the Green New Deal. I think the Green New Deal, if followed through on it, is an incredibly solid way to communicate to the public that this is a jobs program. It's not just about like fixing our climate policy. It's also about like restructuring the way we subsidize our energy industry. I think they recently just discovered that tax credits are functionally no different than a subsidy and are more politically palatable. I mean, it's not functionally different than a subsidy. It's entirely different than a subsidy. It's a tax cut. It's not a subsidy because you get it at the end of the year rather than a direct cash infusion. Isn't this out of touch sentiment something to do with the 100 million coffers she inherited? No. I think she would still be like repackaged Joe Biden. But overall, if you are a liberal and you are excited at, Donald Trump being defeated, then, this is your night. This is a victory lap opportunity for you.
Vote. I want to get some more results from our post-debate instant polls. Our political director, David Chalian, is back with us. David, what else are you learning?
Yeah, Anderson, this is a poll of debate watchers, not of the country overall or the electorate, obviously. But it's not that partisanly, in a partisan way, different than what we see broadly among registered voters. This is really interesting. Among the candidates' favorable and unfavorable ratings, take a look here at what we found. Before the debate, Harris's favorable rating was at 39%. After the debate, among these debate watchers, her favorability rating went up 6 points to 45%. Donald Trump actually ticked down 2 points among these debate watchers from 41% favorable to 39% favorable. That's about roughly the same. That's not a 2%. I do.
You misunderstood me. There are pay-fors for the CTC expansion through raising corporate tax rate back up to 28%. Even if they didn't do that, I don't care. Even if it like fed into the deficit, I don't give a shit. I like the expansion of the child tax credit. It's a very popular policy. It's a very good policy. Okay? Simply communicating that policy as a tax credit rather than a direct subsidy changes the mechanism in which you that you use this policy. Like, it changes the delivery mechanism. It just complicates it for no reason. Matt Bruning had a really good piece on this at the Triple P think tank that he has. But beyond that, like I never was anti expanding the child tax credit. I think it's a great idea. It's a necessary policy. I'm simply saying, like, I don't like that the only time we are actually doing something that is helpful for the American population, we can only push it through the lens of tax cuts, which goes back to my anger in terms of like the way that the Democratic Party presents certain things. It's just like there's never any interest in advancing a different strategy, even though Trump's subsidies were incredibly popular. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, the Trump bucks were very, very popular. People still bring that shit up. What about a cap on CTC so people like Jeff Bezos can't use it? Yeah, dude, Jeff Bezos is really making out like a bandit with the $6,000 that he's getting back in tax credits. What the fuck are you talking about? Do you hear yourself? No, I'm not saying more focus testing. I'm saying the exact opposite, okay? Universal programs are good. Universality is good. Universality makes it fair. Okay. If you want to eliminate people who are really wealthy that are going to take advantage of these universal programs, which is hilarious to think about because they're not, you know, it's like saying, oh, public college means rich kids are going to go to school for free. It's like, no, they're not. They're going to go to private schools. Okay. They don't go to public schools, and they will not go to public schools, and they'll go to private schools. But even if you want to, then tax them at the end of the year. Okay. I mean, if you want, like, I'm never in favor of means testing. I don't think it's a smart idea. I think it actually is a way to make your progressive policy agenda less popular overall. But even if you were going to do that, you should probably do that in the back end and tax them afterwards, which is exactly what happened with the subsidies. As a matter of fact, the money that I got from the Trump bucks, I think it was like the first payment I got, and then the second payment I was over the limit, and I think I paid it in taxes. You pay it back in taxes if necessary, which there's no problem with.
Weeks ago, would you have predicted that 7 weeks later that Kamala Harris and Donald Trump would be polling evenly? Donald Trump, a former president, you know, and whatever you think about him, there is a presumption that goes with the fact that you were president, that you know the job and so on. You know, so I do think that she filled that. She checked that box tonight. She looked like a president on that stage. There's not a lot of elasticity in this electorate, so I wouldn't expect huge movements here. But this isn't going to be a race that's won that way. It's going to be won incrementally. She took an incremental step forward.
So I'm a little bit surprised by those numbers, because this is as good as it's going to get for Kamala Harris, presumably. I mean, this was you know, Donald Trump.
Okay, sorry. Thanks for educating me. Why did the mainstream media make a big deal about Jeff Bezos using child tax credits if it didn't matter? Oh, great question, actually, Chatter. It's because they're ginormous pieces of. That's it. There's literally no other reason. It's the exact same, because they don't want you to have good things. They don't want you to have a little bit ease of access to certain amenities that rich people take advantage of on a daily basis, because they despise the working poor. Okay? And if you think I am even remotely exaggerating, I'm not. Okay? These people are monstrous pieces of at the upper echelon of society, and they are entirely backed by corporations, and they cannot stand for the working poor to get a leg up at any capacity. Because why? Because if you do get a leg up, you might want more things. If you do get a leg up, you might actually start thinking, wait a minute, the government is helping me. Because since the Ronald Reagan, Reaganomics, neoliberalism era in the United States of America, we've been bouldering towards economic collapse. If you look at the actual distribution of income in this country, if you look at the actual wealth disparity in this country, you'll recognize that we are worse than we were at during the Gilded Age. Okay, like the Roaring 20s. It's worse now than it was back then. Okay, there are omega wealthy people in this country, and then the rest are just like struggling to make do. And these people, because they work for corporations, because they work for the interest of corporations, do not want you to even dream that the American government could ever be helpful for you. Okay? And that's precisely why the Democratic Party doesn't usually do a lot in terms of helping people anyway. New York Times being stupid garbage once again. Fierce exchange over country's future dominate debate. Harris and Trump spar over abortion, economy, and foreign policy. I mean, it's whatever. This is like the most wishy-washy, middle of the ground, as expected from the New York Times. When you see Frank Luntz, the devil himself, is saying that Trump is unhinged and could not stay on topic, it says a lot. Yeah.
Dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs, the people that came in.
Jesus Christ. If it were up to you, who would have been your Republican and Democrat candidate? I don't give a fuck who the Republican candidate is. Are you trying to tell me that Anderson Cooper has ties to big business? His last name is Cooper, and that surely means his family historically was working class and made barrels? Yeah. Please do not Google what Anderson Cooper's actual last name is and what family he's a part of. You will not like the answer. Also, Anderson Cooper is going to be like interviewing Donny O'Sullivan on the misinformation documentary that I'm featured on, and I'm genuinely scared he's going to say some about me when he's interviewing Donny. I'm actually a little worried about the documentary that's coming out next Sunday. I thought it was strange he called Harris the worst vice president ever when Mike Pence literally didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution. Connor, you're so right. You're so right. Because I think in his mind, Mike Pence is dead to him. He's dead. Michael Pence from Pennsylvania is dead to him. So he doesn't want to even invoke his name. Donnie has your back, dude. Come on. No. I'm not worried about Donnie cooking me. I'm worried about like an editor doing that. I'm very MAGA. She definitely won tonight. Trump hasn't been the same since 2019. And the old guy is never coming back. He will still win, but this should be so easy and he makes it so difficult. That's so funny. The old guy's never coming back. He will still win. I don't think Trump's gonna win this, chatter. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I mean I'm glad that you're at least like recognizing that Trump definitely lost. But I don't think he's gonna be winning this. I don't think he has this in the bag at all. If Trump loses, he's also gonna lose in 2028. Yeah, I don't know what happens then. Compilation of Trump. Fox cooking Trump tonight? Wait, really?
Vice President Harris was clearly well prepared, practiced on the offensive much of the night. Former President Trump did take a lot of the bait that she threw out.
Make no mistake about it.
Dude, yeah, Brit Hume blistered, dude. Brit, what, you've lost Brit Hume, sir. Imagine being that guy, just like seeing the difference, like experiencing the difference personally of like the Republican Party going from like competent country club Republicans to like the Trump Republican like populist project.
Trump had a bad night. He rose to the bait repeatedly when she baited him, something I'm sure his advisors had begged him not to do. And we heard so many of the old...
Dude, he was so locked in. You're right, the illegals will make Kamala win. Hell yeah, baby. That's right. It was so crazy. Kamala Harris would just like subtly bring some up in the midst of this conversation, and Trump would literally go back to it for no reason and burn like the first 30 seconds to the first 60 seconds every single time, addressing like some silly that nobody gives a shit about, that he should know better, never to talk about. I can't wait to come into the country illegally to get a transgender operation in the prisons. Hell yeah. You're missing Trump in the ABC spin room? No, I caught him saying he won by 92%.
Debate in his view, despite the fact that, of course, just a couple of months ago, it was the former president's opponent who dropped out of the presidential race altogether because of that debate. And there has...
Did Kamala not do the same thing with fracking? Yes, which is precisely the reason why I said in the midst of the debate, I said, where is it? Damn, people really liked when I say Trump is a spectacular failure. Where the f is it? Remember how you liberals feel when Trump says he's the leader on IVF and when he talks about abortion? That's how every likely Trump voter feels when Kamala talks about how she's actually going to build a border wall and be tough on immigration. Yeah, I tweeted nonstop throughout the entire process, but I usually use that as a way to like gather my thoughts. But that's what it is. That is what it is. You're right. Kamala Harris talking about fracking doesn't mean to most people. Okay, it doesn't mean to most people. It does not. And it's especially less meaningful when she's talking about immigration, which is like something that the Republicans own, or even worse when it comes to like wars. You know, we're gonna be doing the wars. We're gonna be the wars. Even Trafalgar has a pretty big Harris approval. I mean, this is the, oh my God. This is literally like, this is the Asmongold chat poll, okay? Trafalgar with the Asmongold chat poll, basically. This is the real Asmongold chat poll, okay? I'm so happy my state got a shout out for executing babies based. Yeah, he said the wrong state. Are you in West Virginia? Because he said West Virginia instead of Virginia. And even then, it's not even real. The Virginia thing isn't real either. Here's a line for the Democrats in the future. Here's a freebie. Anytime somebody fucking says, oh, what about fucking, you know, abortions after birth, which is ridiculous. Nobody believes that. That's not happening regardless. So Trump can repeat that over and over again. It's actually a massive L for him. Okay, that's one. But if he talks about late term abortions, third trimester abortions, that does happen. It's incredibly rare. Okay, but it does happen. Why does it happen is the real question. Okay, and the lie that Republicans tell is that it happens because people want to have fun abortions. Like they have fun, like just, you know, liberal women are hussies and they want to have sex and then they want to kill a baby because they want to like feel the thrill for the or something, right? And that's ridiculous. Nobody's carrying nobody's carrying a fetus in their body for 7 months, 8 months only to go into the fetus. Okay, no, The only reason why third trimester abortions happen in this country, even though it is phenomenally rare, is because there are medical necessities. The carrier is about to die, or the baby is a stillbirth. Like there's an ectopic pregnancy type situation. It's idiotic that these guys just like lie about this. So the counter to that should always be, of course, I'm not going to restrict abortion, because abortion beyond the first and second trimester is only a medical necessity. So why would I stop a woman who in almost every single circumstance wanted to have this child, making a traumatic decision, like a really important life-saving decision that is going to be traumatic for them? Why would I add legal complications to that process? You can't just like get an abortion for fun. Nobody does this, okay? Because if you want to get an abortion for fun, it's much easier to do it in the first trimester, which is where 94% of abortions happen anyway. I hate this argument. It's very stupid. But like I said, I think one of the weakest points for Kamala Harris was that she did not even address any of the immigration psychopathy that Trump was representing. Isn't every abortion an incredibly difficult choice, and a woman for a partner to discuss a life-changing decision? I hate how Republicans make it seem like people do it for fun. Yeah, I know. It is, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's especially ridiculous. No, and I fear that it common sense. What? Wrong. People in my state are kids as soon as they leave the P word of a woman. Liberals are denying this. Yeah, like who the f wants to be pregnant for? That's the question you should ask. Like, do you think people want to be pregnant for 8 months? Dumbass. Like, if they want to get an abortion, then they would get it in the first trimester or the second trimester if they didn't catch it in the first trimester. Ain't nobody's carrying a pregnancy to almost term and then being like, yep, it's time. But of course, the conversation is comprised mostly of people who like don't understand this issue at all. And it's mostly men. Why did you get pregnant and abort the baby? This is so funny. I think you're asking this question like seriously. Like, I think you're asking this question sincerely. You're like, how do you get pregnant? Please explain to me. My father never did. Okay. When a man and a woman loves each other very much, okay, they sometimes do something in the bedroom. It's like me and your mom. Okay. When you hear The Office on Netflix for the 11th time that week, okay, and you just start hearing her yell a little bit in the room, that's me. I'm doing that to your mom, okay? We're actually making a brother for you, or a sister. Do you think Trump left tonight thinking he won? I feel like his ego is so big. Dude, he is unhinged, and he will keep posting these dumbass Twitter polls. Newsmax snap poll, who won the debate? 93% Trump. Who won the ABC News presidential debate? Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, 64% on C-SPAN. Yes, dude, these are Twitter polls. Of course, no one... That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, this is some unhinged ass right here, dude. Anyway, Jon Stewart unpacks the presidential debate, now with 50% less old man. You know what? I'll watch this tomorrow. I'm tired. I love you guys. I'm sorry, no Wukong. I know a lot of people were probably expecting some Wukong, but we're nearing the 11th hour at this point, and I'm really tired. Okay? Why does he call her Comrade Kamala when he said he's Putin's bestie? What? Oh, this was awesome. Eric Erickson losing his mind on the timeline. You stupid, just got Trump to repeat your lie about the pets. Congrats on sending the news stories tomorrow by lying so Trump picks it up and says stupid. And then right there, baby, right there, the absolute dumbass Christopher Rufo. Excuse me, the Federalist is citing a story about Haitian geese. Fire. This guy is such a loser. Let me tell you something, okay? The old Republican Party used to like winning. If there was ever a dude like Chris Rufo that came in with some fuck like this and caused them to have this collapse in the 2022 midterm elections, okay? The Republican Party of the old age would have literally exiled him, okay? They would have put him on a boat with no destination, okay? They would have been like, get the fuck out of here. The new Republican Party, on the other hand, is huffing copium. And they're like, oh, maybe this Christopher Rufo, well, I mean, he's a graceful loser. Hasan, please, before you go, please.
Michael Steele, you were quite animated when I saw you in the hallway earlier about that debate. I'm gonna see what you're gonna tell me. You think of the debate that you told me in the hallway. What was your take on the debate, Michael Steele? Go ahead. What was the key moment?
She spanked that ass. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Papa, don't go. We need video games. Yeah, I can't. I'm too tired. I'm sorry. But there's still plenty of coverage to come tomorrow, especially including